right. So I wasn't going to originally go over this because honestly, I didn't really care. But now that we have De'Aaron Fox actually responding to some of this stuff, I think we have to go over it now. Yeah, I think we unfortunately have to go over it now. So what are we talking about? De'Aaron Fox recently unfollowed Sabonis on Instagram or something, right? Obviously, he doesn't play with them anymore, right? So it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares? He just doesn't play with them. So, these guys, a lot of times when they go on these teams, they might seem like they're friends, but they're really just coworkers, right? Like, you win together, you play hard, da-da-da. And then when you part ways, you're not really cool anymore. And you just unfollow and you go about your business. But people have taken note that he unfollowed Sabonis, and we already know all of the issues that Kings fans, and we have a King fan in the chat right now who doesn't like Fox, all these issues that Kings fans have with Fox. Most notably, the fact that a lot of them still believe that he forced his way out of Sacramento, where it kind of bothers me a little bit, to be honest. I'm not a Kings fan, obviously. I'm playing the Spurs fan, right? I'm not playing the Kings fan here. But at the end of the day, I was looking at the Kings for a while and just had a lot of question marks when it comes to them. One thing that I kept in mind is that I knew that we had their pick swap, right? So, like, I kind of keep an eye on the Kings a little bit. But some of the decisions that they made over the years just have been just weird. Like, not getting the players that Fox need, around him, like constantly drafting guards, firing Mike Brown when everyone knows that De'Aaron Fox was close to Mike Brown. And we end up finding out that Fox said that was the reason why I left, right? I left. That's when I really decided I don't really want to be here, is when they fired Mike Brown. They're like, okay, all right, you guys obviously don't listen to me. You don't really care what I think. It's whatever, right? I'm not signing. He ended up not signing the extension, and the firing of his coach, he was just like, I can't do this anymore. So anyways, don't think that he forced his way out. Obviously, the Kings were looking for a trade for him, and it just panned out, and he was like, hey, I want to go to San Antonio. And Kings don't like that. Kings fans don't like that. That's my perspective. Obviously, I'm going to have a little bit of a bias, I'm sure, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible. So when I said that he responded, what came out of it? Well, this is what came out of it. So some random fan, not trying to disrespect anybody, like, we're all random fans here. This guy isn't any less important than any of the rest of us. But he says, why you unfollow Sabonis? Which, that's a fine question. That's a fine question. And then, but De'Aaron Fox responded, and he said, Daniel, don't care to see it. Why is that your problem? And he said, dang, like that? All right. And he said, like what? I don't care to see it. And then someone said, it's because you're a snake. So that narrative is still going on, right? And here's the thing. When you put something out there, especially these podcasts, because it was an ESPN, it was a Sacramento Kings ESPN radio host that ended up putting out there that he felt like Fox was a snake. Everyone's not going to see the follow-up, right? Like how we went over how they actually talked it out, and he elaborated on what was actually going on, and Fox gave his perspective on everything, and they were cool now. And even though the radio host has come out and said, okay, this was actually the reason, you putting that stuff out there and helping perpetuate this narrative that he's a snake in the grass or whatnot, it's just going to continue, right? It's just, I'm not saying he's solely responsible for it, but you're piling on a little bit. So this is just what everyone's calling him now. And he said it's because he's a snake. And he said, that's your boy though. Like saying like, you unfollowed, but that's your boy. And he said, we were teammates. It's okay not to be close to everybody. And then the snake thing, he said, if you say so. So here's the thing. Fox isn't going to get anything out of this. I'll be honest with you guys. He is not going to get any. This is not one of those, because where DeJounte Murray would respond to stuff, and it just seemed like it was so, like, I don't know, like ego-driven at times when he would respond to fans. Even when he was with the Spurs, it was just so ego-driven. The response that I've seen from Fox thus far doesn't seem like it's ego driven, rather than just kind of, without him saying it, I think he's kind of hurt. I think he's genuinely kind of hurt some of the responses he's getting from Kings fans. But this isn't doing any good. You're not going to be able to respond to everybody. It's just not. You can just put out a broad statement and leave it at that and go about your business, right? But at this point, I would not be surprised if Fox gets booed the next time he goes to a Kings game. And there's no stopping it. I don't think that he can come out and do anything to stop this. It's out there. It's out there how it's out there, his reasoning. It's out there what happened. It's out there. And yet, I don't know. G Money said all the crumbs lead. And G Money is a Kings fan, by the way. In the chat. This is why I like to have multiple fans in the chat. I know that it irritates some Spurs fans sometimes, but like we don't have to just be in an echo chamber, right? Like we can have other fans come in and talk. But this is his view on it, right? G Money says all the crumbs lead to that conclusion, and then put a snake. They don't like him. Kings fans don't like him. They don't like how this went. And my opinion of it is always going to be, you look at your franchise first, and then you go down to the coaching, and then you go down to the players, right? Like that's how I view it. That's where I put my order of who's to blame on things. So when I look at the San Antonio Spurs front office, A1 in the game, right? I'm cool. I'm chilling. And then I look at the coaching, not too great, right? So that's where most of my blame is going to go to. And then it's the players, but mostly I'm going to put it on the coaches at that point. I do the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys, right? I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys. They're my team, but I can't stand them. Front office is horrible. They're awful. Ego-driven Jerry Jones. Everything's about him. And that's the reason why they haven't won in forever. It would be very silly for me to just start going on rants and criticizing Dak Prescott. Why? What's the point? Who cares? Does it matter? Our front office sucks. So I always go in order there. So I can't just jump to players here. Fox wanting to leave the Kings, if I was a Kings fan, I just wouldn't care. I would just protest the front office. I would just hate the front office, honestly. I know that's hard to do because they're not the ones that you see on the court every day. You probably don't even know front office guys by name most of the time. But yeah, that's where I go. I go front office, coaching, players. And I wish most people did that, because if most people did that, the Kings fans wouldn't sit here and just pile on Fox right now. Their franchise sucks. 16 years of not making the playoffs. Constant draft picks that make no sense. Do you live in Texas, Clan, since you say you like the Cowboys? No, I don't live in Texas. Believe it or not, my dad is actually a huge Cowboys fan. So growing up, that's who I gravitated towards. And then the San Antonio Spurs, that just happened because of Manu Ginobili. I became a big fan of Manu as a kid. So that just naturally happened that way. No one around me liked the Spurs. I think maybe my dad's barber was a Spurs fan or something, but How dare you leave our trash team? You supposed to stay forever. Yeah, it's just, you get what I think you guys get what I'm saying. That's I hope I elaborated on that well. But, as far as De'Aaron Fox is concerned, he probably needs to stop. You're not going to get anything out of this. You're not going to convince anybody out of anything. And even if you did, or even if you were attempting to, who the heck are you convincing with this? Don't care to see it? Why is that your problem? He's very defensive. I think he's genuinely upset. I think he's genuinely hurt by Kings fans. But don't care to see it. Why that's your problem? That was defensive. If you're gonna respond, don't respond to this. There's no reason to respond to this. But if you're gonna respond, just say, "Hey, we were teammates. We were teammates, but we're not like great. I mean, you don't need to say this, but we're not super friends. We're just teammates." Which he kind of said that later on, but at that point, you were already pretty defensive. Or you just say, "I'm not super close to everybody, but he was a great teammate, but I'm not super close to all my former teammates." That's cool. I think that would have been a better response, actually. He's a great teammate. Well, I don't know if Sabonis is an awesome person, but you can say that. I mean, if you believe that. He's an awesome person, but me and him aren't necessarily super close or anything like that. But I think no response. Yeah, no response is the best response. I agree with you, July. Because you're just not going to convince anybody of anything, man. It's too many people. It's too many people dogpiling on you. And no offense to this Daniel guy, I don't know if he meant anything by it. Maybe he genuinely was just asking. Hey guys, what does LTB stand for? Do you know? Hashtag LTB. Light the beam? Ah, okay. I just looked up LTB and it's, oh my god. Laryngotracheobronchitis. Okay. All right. Love the booty. Ah, okay. Light the beam. Okay. All right. Okay. It's king slang for light the beam. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, I don't think this guy was like, unless LTB stood for something crazy. I don't think this guy was like rude or anything or out of pocket. So, all right. Lettuce, tomato, and bacon. Ah, that makes no sense. All right. Anyways, let's end this segment. Just wanted to bring this to your attention. Little update.